So I decided to do, because I've heard this name Nick Fuentes all over, the the political spectrum, and apparently he campaigned for Donald Trump, and he's against Donald Trump now, but that's a whole nother story. But I've always heard that he's a white nationalist, he's racist, and all these things about him. So I wanted to kind of check it out because there was an interview with him and Piers Morgan, and I have an interesting perspective on Nick Fuentes in a different way. White guy, 27 years old, from Chicago. So he's young, which is not doesn't fit the typical racist. Someone that's like should be racist. But racist can be all ages. I'll say that. But from Chicago, 27. My theory is he's actually, and I'm not disputing any of that. That can definitely be the case. But typically, when you think about racist, you think about Alabama, Georgia, anywhere from the South in the Midwest, but from Chicago. Anyway, so my theory about Nick Fuentes is he's actually a booster. And let me explain what I mean by a booster. A booster is someone that makes other people, at least by my definition, I'm just going to use it, right? Someone that makes other people look good. So him being the epitome of a racist, interviewed by Piers Morgan, here's my theory, is that he's actually, because I didn't have any respect for Piers Morgan until this interview. So I think that's all by design. He goes on this interview with Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan's constantly defending, he's constantly defending like blacks and like, because this guy believes that women shouldn't vote, and blacks shouldn't, blacks should be in jail. That's just some of the stuff that he said, right? So Piers Morgan has to get on and he has to defend him. So I'm thinking that if you have someone like this, juxtaposed to anyone on the right that doesn't want to be viewed as a racist, just interview this guy, just be next to this guy and start talking to him. And then you'll realize that, wow, this guy can't be a racist because he's actually fighting against an actual epitome of racism, right? So it makes sense. Think about if you had Nick Fuentes and Donald Trump together in a room and they were talking and they were interviewing, and Nick Fuentes said some super racist stuff and Donald Trump actually said, no, you shouldn't be saying those things. What's that going to make the American media think? They're going to be like, oh, Donald Trump's a good guy because, or at least it's going to change some perceptions, right? People that aren't really paying attention because Donald Trump actually came to defense of blacks or like certain people against Nick Fuentes. So I think there's a purpose for guys like Nick Fuentes, guys like Charlie Kirk. I honestly believe that they're boosters. It's kind of like when you saw the Republicans ran like black people. Like they ran Herman Boone. They gave the appearance that Herman Boone was going to run and try to get the nomination, and then they had all these scandals conveniently come out, so they can say, "Oh, well, see, we tried to run a black person." You see, it's all by design. But and then they did the same thing with Ben Carson. Ben Carson. They had him up there. That's why they have black people in the first place. Like Candace Owens, a good example. Candace Owens, she wasn't running for president or anything like that, but if you put her next to like other racist people, because I would identify her as a racist. I mean, I've heard enough of her to think that she's self-hating, and self-hating. When I say self-hating, she's actually a narcissist, but like self-hating, like as in like self-hating her identity. That's what people mean when they say self-hating. But someone like Candace Owens makes racist people feel better about themselves because here's a black person that's racist and saying these horrible things. Now, if a black person saying that, then I feel justified as like a racist person would feel justified. So that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear your comments and your opinions about this, but I honestly believe that Nick Fuentes is one of those boosters. I have a hard time buying that he's really that stupid to believe everything that he says. I really don't. I think he's probably smarter than that, and we have this thing where we constantly say people that are horrible people. Everyone says like Donald Trump's an idiot. I don't think he's an idiot. I think his followers are idiots. I think he's actually pretty smart to manipulate a lot of people. Now, is he a horrible person? Does he belong in jail? Yeah. But does that make him an idiot? No, not per se, not by definition. I think he's actually a brilliant manipulator, and he has billions of dollars for a reason. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he did inherit a lot of it, and But anyway, let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think? I think boosting is a big part of the Republican Party. They use figures like this to like kind of boost their image. It's like if I wanted to say like, hey, I'm not anti-white, and then I bring a super I don't know, Antifa, type person, or someone that's like super anti-white, and then we interview, and then like I'm defending whites the whole time. That's gonna change my image, and I think that's what the purpose of these people are. I just don't think he's that stupid, honestly. I think Nick Fuentes is one of those boosters. Obviously, I don't agree with anything that he says, and apparently he has black followers that are also self-hating, but that's a whole other story. But catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.